Hello everybody, welcome back to the Weekly Watches. How are we all doing? And I'm stressed out, just been arguing with Google. Asked Google to take a selfie like I always do for the thumbnail. And he was very argumentative today, kept telling me he wasn't capable of making me a coffee. I was like, no, I don't want a coffee, I want a selfie. And he's trying to give me links to baristas and all sorts. But I got there in the end. I'm not the most technical person, so I don't need selfie. I don't need Google to be argumentative with me. But anyway, welcome to the Weekly Watches. I've got me counting right this week. I've watched 9 films. I did a hell of a job with the counting last week. So let's get on with it, shall we? Right, I started off the week with a rewatch. Harvey, and this is from 1950, directed by Henry Costa, starring the fantastic Jimmy Stewart, my favourite actor, Josephine Hull, and Peggy Dow. Now, I watched this ages ago on a DVD copy, I think, a first viewing in 4K, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I remember enjoying it previously. Don't know what it was. I found it a bit slow going, to be honest. James Stewart is fabulous as always in it. He plays a kooky character and is always at his best by playing a kooky character. But the story, I don't know what it was this time. It just left me a little bit cold. It's all about Stewart's character, and he's got this imaginary friend, or is it an imaginary friend? This big 6 foot whatever bunny rabbit called Harvey, and much to the chagrin to his friends and family, he becomes a bit ostracised from the family because they're a bit embarrassed that they can't take him anywhere. If they're having family functions, they have to not keep them secret from him because he tends to embarrass all the family by introducing his imaginary friend Harvey. And in the end, they try and get him committed to like a mental hospital. And maybe because I'm a bit older and wiser since last time I saw it, I just found that the way they treated the mentally ill people in the film, like, a bit disturbing. Now, their answer was not like to treat them, was to like lock them away forcibly if needed. Yeah, I found that quite terrible, actually, that back in the 50s, what did we say, 1950, whenever this was made, that was probably the easiest solution, to strong arm him into a room where they could be quiet and not bother anybody. Yeah, did find that a bit disturbing. Harvey, actually, some other people saw him, but was he actually there, or were they as crazy as Jimmy Stewart? It's all right, don't get me wrong. It was a good watch, and I'm glad I watched it again, but just a bit disappointed that I didn't love it as I remember loving it. Maybe it's just the mood I was in. Maybe on another day going forward, I might again enjoy it just as much. We shall find out another day, I suppose. Yeah, Harvey to kick the week off. Next up, another totally different track to that. You can't get much difference. Baby Blood from 1990, directed by Alain Roback, starring Emmanuel Escourou and Christian Sininger. French gore-fest body horror that my good friend Tim Cole, we'll know Tim, he kindly sent me over on that care package he sent me for Christmas. And I tell you what, it's getting a bit of a habit where I'm watching films Tim sent me and hoping that Mrs. B doesn't come up and catch me watching it, because there's a hell of a lot of nudity, a hell of a lot of gore. Emmanuel Escourou, the main character, the female lead, she's a very buxom young lady, shall we say, and seldom wore clothes in the film. And yeah, very buxom indeed. If she fell on her front, she's not going to break her nose, put it that way. Baby Blood, what it was about. Yeah, very enjoyable, actually. Yes, and thanks for that, Tim. What was it about? There's a leopard that's been imported into this French zoo from Africa. When it gets, not a leopard, no, cheetah, actually. It might have been a cheetah. My knowledge of big cats isn't the best. But anyway, this creature falls ill and this thing bursts out of its stomach, a bit alien-like, and goes up Emmanuel Escoro's vaginal canal, which is two words that I never thought I'd utter on the channel, but it's done now, and impregnates her. She's got this abusive husband who's sort of in charge of the zoo and circus, so she ups and leaves him and goes to live in the city with this thing growing inside her. But this thing starts talking to her and it needs to feed on human blood, and gets then Emmanuel Esquerro's character to go murdering people and drinking their blood so it can feed this thing that's growing inside her. And it's absolutely ridiculous. You can hear the conversation that's going on between them in a sort of a Venom way, if you like. Yeah, really, really good. Really enjoyed it. Like I say, very, very gory, but it was very enjoyable, I must say, Tim. The one thing that it maybe takes away from it a little bit is you see that on the front there, that was all a dream sequence. Which is something I don't like in films, where the best bit was a dream, but there you go. But apart from that, yeah, very good, very enjoyable watch. Baby Blood. And after that, on a totally different tangent, I do like to mix it up. We've got Driving Miss Daisy from 1989, directed by Bruce Beresford. Starring Morgan Freeman, Dan Aykroyd, Jessica Tandy, and Patti LuPone. Now, Driving Miss Daisy, what did I think about it? Not a lot, to be honest. If you gave me a piece of paper and a pen and said to me, write down how you think this film will play out, I could pretty much get it spot on. Half a side of A4 paper, what's going to happen, the ins and outs and everything. Just totally, yeah, you just knew what it was going to happen. And it was dull, crikey, it was dull. Real struggle to get through this. All about Morgan Freeman's character, and he goes to drive for a lady who's getting elderly and not really capable of driving herself because she's had an accident that's cost the insurance company quite a bit of money and is struggling to insure her again. And it's all about the ins and outs of their character, how she rebels against it. They become friends after a while, and mutual respect grows between, and almost a love between, not a physical love, but a love of each other's character grows between them. And yeah, it was just dull. It could have been better, I feel, if they were to really, I think it took the easy option, the safe option, if they'd have gone against the problems of the Deep South in the 50s and 60s of the racial tension, and maybe explored that avenue a bit more in the film, would have made it a bit more interesting for myself. Best Picture winner, certainly not for me. I'm not too sure what it was up against that year, but I'm pretty sure there would have been something a bit more worthy than this, in my opinion, of taking that gong. Yeah, probably not one I'll ever watch again. Driving Miss Daisy, and I can see now why it's taken me so many years to get onto it. And next one from last year, 2025. Does seem odd saying last year now about 2025. Black Bag, directed by Steven Soderbergh, with Kate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender, Tom Burke, Naomi Harris, Pierce Brosnan even in it. Yeah, decent film. This is one that my friend John sent me over for Christmas, so thank you very much again for that, John. And yeah, pretty enjoyable film. If a little bit complicated for my little brain, it might be better on a second viewing actually, because there was a hell of a lot of going on. It's a very twisty, turny, dialogue based plot. There was a lot of ins and outs and a lot to keep up with, which I think I did on the main part, but watching it again, I think I might enjoy it more. Yeah, it's all about a ring of intelligence officers and this malware that they produced that can mount down a nuclear reactor. It somehow got into the hands of the Russians, and only one of the people in this circle of analysts and MI5 agents, or something like that anyway, one of them is responsible. It's definitely a leak from the inside, and it's looking that it's Kate Blanchett that's done it, who is the wife of Michael Fassbender, so he's pretty much been told to investigate his own wife. So you've got then the ins and outs of all that happening. Can he trust his wife? Can't he trust his wife? And even the evidence he's gathering himself, everything seems to be pointing at his wife's figure, that she's the one to blame, she's the leak, she's the one that's put the country at risk. Yeah, very good dialogue driven, as a lot of Steven Soderbergh films are. Really enjoyed it actually. Yeah, good one. Pierce Brosnan, he's as great as ever. And yeah, really, really good film. So thanks again, John, for that. That's Black Bag. So after Black Bag, we went for Paddington in Peru, 2024, from Dougal Wilson directed, starring Ben Whishaw as the titular Paddington. You have Hugh Bonneville, you got Emily Mortimer taking over as the mother role, Antonio Bandeira, Olivia Colman, Julie Walter, Imelda Staunton, Jim Broadbent, even a bit of Hayley Atwell, who was in the Avengers. So yeah, really, really stacked cast. My first time watch of the third one, Paddington in Peru, and move over Godfather trilogy. Is this the best trilogy ever made? I'm joking, obviously. Don't call me a twat in the comments. But I do like all three films, to be honest. This one, I think most people have said it's maybe not quite to the standard of the first two, and yeah, I tend to agree with that, but still a very enjoyable film. This is all about Paddington and family in tow go over to Peru because his auntie's gone missing from the retired home for bears, which is run by Olivia Colman. This leads them onto an adventure down the river, which is in a boat captained by Antonio Bandeira, to try and discover the city of El Dorado, the lost city of gold and all the fables. Yeah, very, very good action adventure. Some really good funny moments. I was chuckling to myself quite a few times in this, and comedy is not normally my go-to thing, so it must have been doing something wrong. And what I like about these films, they always have good villains. In this one, I don't really, if you haven't seen it, it's a bit of a twist, so I won't tell you, but you've had Nicole Kidman, you've had Hugh Grant, and now the villain in this, yeah, very good indeed. Like I say, it's a bit of a right turn with the villain, so I don't want to say too much in case you haven't seen it. But really, really well made film. Really enjoyable. If you've got kids, you could sit down with them and watch all three, and the adults are going to get as much out of them as the kids, even maybe more, because some of the jokes will certainly fly over their heads but land in your lap, so to speak. Yeah, really, really good. The mother in it, Emily Mortimer, not as good as Sally Hawkins, but pretty darn close, I'd say. Yeah, really, really enjoyable. And like I say, the best trilogy ever. Paddington in Peru. Next up for myself, Blitz from 2011, directed by Elliot Lester, starring Jason Statham, Paddy Considine, Aidan Gillen, Luke Evans, David Morrissey, even a bit of Mark Rylance. Yeah, very, very good cast. Regular viewers of the channel will know that Jason Statham, his films, I've said it often before, not guilty pleasures, because I'm never guilty about anything you like, but I do tend to gravitate to his low-end action films, if you like, and this one was no different. In fact, I like this one better than most, which seems to go against the grain reading the reviews and that, but yeah, really appealed to me. Statham is a London copper, a London sergeant, plain clothes. He's got a bit of a drink problem. He does things his way, very much against the book. Gives anybody short shrift who tries to tell him he's not doing it the right way. And yeah. And in the film, it transpires that Aidan Gillen's character, who you might remember from Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, and he's a very slimy character in that, and again in this is a very slimy villain that you loathe, and he does a really good job in villain roles, I think, Aidan Gillen. And he's a serial killer, but a serial killer of cops. He's going around killing any cop that has arrested him before in the past, and as soon as he's got a charge sheet, as long as you're armed, it's a hell of a lot of people he's killing. You know all along, so it's not really a spoiler to say that he's the one doing the killing, but they're struggling to find the exact proof to pin it on him and get the charges to stick. With the help of a clever lawyer, he tends to evade arrest. Yeah, very, very violent, very old school film. Paddy Considine plays Jason Statham's like superior, who is this gay policeman who has been seconded from another police station to the South London police station where Statham works, and yeah, he gets a very brunt of some very homophobic abuse from the coppers and even Statham himself, but the two of them sort of gain this mutualist respect for each other by the end of the film. As you can imagine, like Statham being very much a man's man, he's not very happy to be under the tutelage, well, not under the tutelage, but under the control of this gay policeman. So yeah, he certainly shoots some bullets his way verbally, so to speak. Yeah, very, very good film. Very, very gritty, which is different to a lot of the Statham films. A lot of them are explosions and stuff that couldn't really happen and you have to suspend belief, but this one, yeah, you could pretty much take it as read. It's a very believable plot and not too far-fetched. Yeah, really, really liked it, and don't know why it's taken me this long to watch it. I've still got some more Stathams under my belt to get through. Yeah, Blitz, like that one. And next, I'm really glad to see I've finally got round and sat down and watched F1 the movie from last year, 2025, directed by Joseph Kosinski, starring Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Javier Bardem, Kerry Condon, Tobias Menzies. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, I thought it was excellent. A bit far-fetched, but I'm only, I'd say, a casual Formula One fan. I do watch the races when they're on and there's no football on or anything. I'll sit down and watch the race. Know sort of the rules, don't know all the technicalities and some things like that. So, yeah, being like a casual fan, that didn't really bother me very much. Whereas I know my son Nathan and his girlfriend Katie, they went to the cinema to watch this, and I think it did bother them a bit, the far-fetchedness of it, because they are proper really into it, quite super fanish. Max Verstappen fans, and especially my son Nathan, has been known to throw things about the room before when Max Verstappen has taken off his own teammates. Yes, horrible sight to see. But it was a decent film. I quite enjoyed it. It's all about Brad Pitt's character. He's an aged racing driver. He's done F1 in the past, but to little success. He had a bad accident that curtailed his F1 career. Then he's gone on to do the endurance races, that sort of circuit, and he's pretty much gone into retirement until he gets the call from his friend and former racing colleague Javier Bardem, who got his own team at the lower reaches of Formula One. He's never scored a point in all the time they've been doing it, and the team is in danger of going to the wall unless their fortunes can quickly turn around. So he enlists Pitt's character to come and really mentor their young driver, played by Damson Idris, or somebody named Damson. I bet that's got him in a jam a few times. To take him under his wing and try and get him to rise through the ranks and see if they get the team to do a bit better and they can keep going for another season or two. The two clash at first because they're totally polar opposite characters, but as you'd expect, after a while they get this mutual understanding at first, then they come to like each other, and the team itself, like, they realise that they're not going to win by playing fair, so they become, if you like, the equivalent of Wimbledon in the 1980s, the football team, and try and win by dirty methods, which was quite amusing, actually. They'd take one car off to try and help the teammate, that sort of thing. Yeah, very good. Really, really well filmed. The trickery that they've used, like, to get the actual drivers in the film, the real drivers, the Verstappens and the Hamiltons, and them guys into film, it looks quite seamless. Like, you couldn't really tell that it's probably like computer generated, a lot of it. I'll have to have a look at the making of, actually, because it is very, very good and very, very seamless indeed. Quite a long film, well over 2.5 hours, but it really never felt the runtime at all. I think it's probably the best film I've watched this week, and yeah, definitely a film now I'm glad I've got in the collection and I'll go back to at some stage. I do tend to gravitate towards racing films. I love the old 60s Grand Prix film. I thought that was 3 hours long and again, brilliant. I might have to do, I don't know if I've got 10, maybe top 5 racing films in the future. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Yeah, F1 the movie, very, very good indeed. Right, I've followed that up with also from 2025. That's 3 2025 films this week. I'm doing really well. I could probably formulate a top 10 2025 films now. Marching Powder, directed by Nick Love, starring, well, I wouldn't say starring, Danny Dyer, appearing in Danny Dyer, and Stephanie Leonidas. I found this in a charity shop for 50p or something, so being a new film, I picked it up. I thought I'll give it a go, and it was all right. It's just banal, to be honest. A comedy, they reckon, but I didn't really laugh very much. It's Danny Dyer being Danny Dyer. It's going back in time with director Nick Love to the football factory, and back in the day when I suppose the football hooliganism was a bit more fashionable. It was only a mediocre watch, and that sort of stuff just hasn't aged very well for me. It's just stupidity, especially when you get to this guy's time of life. He's got a family he's supposed to be looking after and is addicted to cocaine, is losing his marriage. It's just pathetic behaviour, really. And this whole gang of friends are just unlikable characters that you can't get behind. You find yourself not rooting anybody. But anyway, it's about Dyer's character. He gets nicked in a ruck, as they call it at the football, and he's going to go to prison unless he can prove in 6 weeks' time that he can give up drugs, he can give up violence, he can find himself a job, he can commit to his marriage. So he's given this ultimatum by the judge, and it's all about Dyer's character trying to turn his life round, but it's a lost cause with the guy. And I just get the impression that the guy is probably like this in real life. The bits and bobs I've seen him on TV, and like when he's doing his non-acting stuff, he just grinds my gears the wrong way. That he's just not the sort of bloke that you'd want to hang around with. He's just this loutish idiot, and I could imagine just in real life he's going to be the same person. He might be very wrong, he might be a really nice guy, but that's just the impression he gives me. It's gone back 30 years, I don't know how long the original Football Factory was, and it just hasn't improved very much in my opinion. Yeah, not a fan, I'm afraid. Marching powder. Right, to round off the week, I rewatched Life from 2017, directed by Daniel Espinosa, and I don't think I've seen anything else of this guy, so has he got any other films I should be watching? Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds, Rebecca Ferguson. I was planning on starting off my thoughts and my feelings by saying it's an Alien rip-off, but to be honest, thinking about it, I don't think I'll do it justice by doing it. I think I'm being unfair, because obviously it's got similarities with Alien, but in its own right, it's a very, very good film, and I think go down that route is an injustice, even though it says Alien meets Gravity on the blurb on the front. I think, again, that's being unfair to it. Again, I think I didn't get on with Gravity. I think it's a better film than Gravity. Obviously not as good as Alien. Alien's a classic, but it's an excellent, excellent film. This crew on the ISS, the International Space Station, they've picked up a probe from Mars that's been gathering soil samples, and in the soil samples they find this alien life form that at first appears to be a microscopic organism, but it grows at rather a rapid rate and soon becomes very much a danger, because it turns out this microscopic thing is an actual real dangerous creature that's very, very intelligent. Seems to have the run over the people as they're trying to destroy it on the ship. It wants to take over the ship and take the ship back down to Earth, where it can get onto Earth and cause some real damage and carry on living. Yeah, really, really good, really, really tense stuff, really well acted, really well made. I know, and I'm doing it again, I'm comparing it to Alien. Like, Alien was practical effects and this is all CGI, but it's very, very well done. Some CGI you can just tell it straight off, but this is pretty seamless. Yeah, this thing, it goes from very, very small to, at first they think it's a cute little creature and they're like touching its tentacles and stuff, till it gets bigger and bigger and it's a real evil thing. Yeah, excellent and brilliant cast. They get killed off, a lot of them, and it's quite a shock that maybe some of them get killed off that you wouldn't think before others, because they're like a more famous actor. Whether it's because it's a few years ago and maybe they weren't so famous then, I don't know, but yeah, it did surprise me in that way. Yeah, very, very good, very, very enjoyable sci-fi. I could recommend this to anybody. Brilliant ending, and I rarely say that I'd like a sequel, but the way it ended, I'd like to see how the story continued. I think it'd be very interesting. Yeah, Life, very, very good film, and a very, very solid way to round off the week. So that was it for the week. Let me know down below what you think of my little reviews. Do you agree with my thoughts? Do you think I'm talking out the back of my head? Let me know. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to hear this more going forward. I do these little reviews every week. Don't take them too seriously. Have a bit of fun. That's what it's all about. life's too serious as it is. Take care, have a good weekend, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.